Hey, what's good, everybody? Hopefully, all can hear me. Welcome to another episode of Sit Down, Shut Up. I'm Juzzy. So today we have I think it's Diamond 2, I believe. Let me take a look at what they said here. All right. Today we got Tablesaremycorn. We'll double check the rank as soon as you see this. I know it's been a little bit. They're currently Diamond 2 when they requested some training. And what they had mentioned is they have issues recognizing when to use meter or super, and consistent execution as I think they struggle with the most. They'd also like to develop a more stable game plan, but it's a little abstract for them at the moment. They say that the RPS of footsies isn't something they've totally figured out. So we'll join them in voice in a second here. We'll get talking with them, so just give me a sec.
Hey, let's.
Hey, Tables, how's it going?
It's going alright. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. One sec, let me come across a little bit quiet in Discord here and turn you up. Alright. Cool. So yeah, thanks for hopping in. I know it was a little bit last minute, but sometimes these windows of opportunity open up, so I have to offer it if I can. Cool. So what I was just saying on stream was that when you signed up, you were at Diamond 2 at the time. So is that still the case for you there?
Oh, I actually signed up at like Plat 3, so I'm Diamond 2 now.
Okay, gotcha.
I edited
Okay, cool. So that was updated, or at least it's been edited. Gotcha. Okay, cool. So
Yep.
you had mentioned you had some issues with like meter and super management, like meter management in general, and some execution stuff too as well, right?
Yeah, the main things. My results are kind of all over the place, so I'm trying to get a little bit better about being more consistent, but
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm improvising in matches a
Okay.
lot, which helping narrow it down and like simplifying things I think might help with that. And also,
Gotcha. 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 Okay. So let me create the room here. Cool. All right. So what we'll do, as I always say, I guess, and tell people, what we're gonna do is we'll run a first to three, and kind of go, and I'll try to get a sense of kind of where you're at and all that. We'll do a little replay review after that, and then if there's something that you want to go over in particular, we'll do a little lab work as well potentially, and then we'll run another first to three after that if you have time, and we'll see how if those things or adjustments helped or not helped, right? Then we can go
Okay,
from there.
yeah, I
Cool.
kind of had to work on things for a while before they integrate, but
Yeah,
hopefully.
100%. But sometimes it can help to kind of just go through it again and see. But for sure, yeah, it
Yeah,
takes
for
time,
sure.
right? Obviously, not going to expect to build Rome in a day or whatever. So
Right.
cool. So I'm going to deafen in Discord while we go the first to three. I do tend to talk a lot during these on stream, so I'm going through my thoughts or whatever. So that way I don't influence anything you're doing. Also, I'll let you know that I may not rematch right away after the game, as I kind of talk through, take notes or whatever else that I kind of want to do. So if it doesn't rematch right away, don't worry about it. I'm still here. Don't worry. So
Okay, I
all right, cool.
appreciate it.
Cool. All right. So good luck.
All right, thank you.
Which I cannot. Yep. So I haven't actually played tables, or at least if I have, it's been a minute. So Diamond 2 Blanka. So let's see what's going on here. They had mentioned some execution stuff, which with Blanka can be kind of tough if you're doing the whole, doing all the level 2 stuff. But they also mentioned stable game plan, right? So let's see what they're cooking. Nice. Oh, good D-Rev. Oh, I should have Tatsu'd. Went for the command grab at the end there. Would have been a good mix, but it kind of whiffed right as I back-tucked, so. Real passive on defense, which is fine. Let's see how they deal with the mix-up here. Try to jump, maybe, backdash. A lot of hops. Uh-oh. Went for the air ball there and I blocked because I had shimmied against that. So what I'm seeing so far, I think their neutral game is actually not that bad. I think what they're trying to deal with in pressing buttons against Ken. So let's see how they do in the next one. I think the adjustment there they have to make is that they have to be willing to probably press a few more buttons. So let's see. Ooh. Oh, okay. A lot of hop shenanigans. I dig it. Oh. Oh, that hit me super meaty. Oh, I didn't try brush. My execution's not good today either, apparently. A couple unsafe moves, like that sweep, I think was a little rough. Oh, okay. No, I tried to DP. Oh, it's so hard to react to that. Oh, no. Oh, that's unfortunate with the stand heavy kick whiffing there. So, again, what I'm seeing so far is that there's a little bit passive in neutral, right? Worried about whiff punish, getting whiff punish or whatever. Some of the movement tech has been good, though, like being able to hop and step through things, so that's been good. No, I try to jab. Oh. Oh. Inter's a little rough, I guess. Okay. Wake up options kind of got baited there a little bit. They went for the D-Rev one too many times, I think. Surprised that they don't go for OD up ball. Oh, the driver hop. Ooh. A good corner. Good level 1. Oh, no tech for me, huh? Oh, nice frame trap. Oh, good throw. Okay, so that was good. That was a good sequence, right? It would have been difficult. I tried not to delay tech there. I was hoping they would back up, and I got caught, so. I meant to spend. Okay, I'm guessing level 3 is coming here. And I would have done the same thing, honestly. Like, it's hard to not level 3 in that situation, right? Alright, cool. Hey there. How'd that go?
Hey, what's up? I messed up a few punishes. Like I accidentally sweeped, I think, in the first game or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Second, like I didn't mean to do that heavy kick sweep or whatever. But, and I think I messed up a punish or two, but no,
Okay.
whatever.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think overall your game plan is mostly fine, honestly. I think it's just, I'm match level, obviously, so some of that spacing stuff is a little bit better on my end, but, you're using Blanka shenanigans effectively, I think, right? There is a couple of, drive bush hops and some other kind of left-right mixes that, I think that's pretty typical of Blanka players to use and utilize, which is great. I think, you need to be doing that stuff with Blanka. But I think, having your entire game plan around that can be kind of tough, right? So,
Yeah.
let's take a look at a couple of replays here. I want to take a look at the that first match we played and the last match here. So let's add those to my replay list here.
Is this on stream or is this in Discord?
Yeah, yeah, I'll be streaming on Discord as well. So just give me a sec
Okay.
here. I'll share it there so you can see what I'm talking about.
Okay,
So let me just add this to the replay list here. I think this one as well. All right, and then
Was I exerting pressure on knockdown? Okay, that was some feedback I got. I was sending out replays.
Yeah, we can take a look at that. There were in the last round when you had me in the corner there, you were able to effectively keep me guessing. So I think that was good. Blanka has a lot of setups, and a lot of them do involve like doll and some other stuff, which admittedly I can't really help you with as much. But we can talk about some of the knockdowns you scored and how pressure is applied there, and we can take a look at that. So. Let me go live here. So I'm streaming in Discord now, so hopefully be able to see it. So just let me know when I can, and then we'll dive into these replays.
Okay, now it's working.
Cool. All right, so let's take a look at this replay here and see what's going on. I'll get the blog shot. Yeah. So on my screen, when we were playing, it was the costume 1 normal. I think I have it set so I don't see this when I'm playing online, but.
Gotcha. Right. It's probably smart because the costume throws people off.
I know, right? Yeah, I get mixed up by it all the time. So. All right, so diving into this guy. Okay, drive rush, totally fine. Plus frames. Playing a little bit of the neutral here. Looks like you're trying to poke with like the crouching medium punch, right? And the crouching heavy punch. I think that's fine. Those are really good buttons for Blanka to try to get in on. So I think that's an okay.
Snipes by crouching medium kick whenever I try and use it. It feels like it has variable frames or something like that.
I don't know if it's variable frames, but it's definitely shorter overall. So it can feel a little bit stubby sometimes. And I think I'd have to look at the actual frame data. I don't know if there's any variableness to it, like if you whiff or something like that. But I think crouching medium punch is probably a better button overall, other than the fact that it doesn't hit low, right? That's really the main drawback. So, but right there, I was pretty good. Whiff punish, right? So I whiffed the stand heavy punch. Just playing a good space here, I think. Right? And then you're able to whiff punish that. But I don't think you drive rush behind it, unfortunately. So
No.
Yeah. But that's good though. I think that was good recognition on your part there. It looks like that was, the spacing was appropriate for you to press that. And he got me, so it's good. Get DP'd on the rainbow ball. Okay. Nice. Use the crouching heavy punch there. Okay. Get you with the cross cuts. Okay, right here. So that's probably the first major hit, right? So what happened? Let's take a look. My guess is he had just gotten DP'd and you're trying to back up out of pressure, right? So let's see.
I'm gonna guess.
All right, cool. So you get DP'd here, right? You back tech. All right, and then I press the crouching medium kick as you're getting up. And you're trying to hop back maybe? Oh no, you probably tech with the 2 kick buttons, huh? Like back tech with it?
Yeah, I tend to use the bottom 3, but sometimes.
Yeah, and that's fine. I was just making because I know this input is, also the hop, right? The 3 kicks. So.
Oh god, yeah.
So that, then you're just trying to back up out of pressure, right? And then you get tagged, right? So, something that I think I talk about a good amount is that after a knockdown like this, right? Typically, the offensive player is going to try to close space, right? I don't use drive rush or anything since it's close, so I just kind of walk up to take up space. Then I'm trying to apply like a low as you're trying to back up, right? So what happens to a lot of players, I think, especially in Diamond, a little bit of Platinum too, but mostly, as you're going up, is that you really don't want to be here, right? You're trying to get out of pressure. You don't want to deal with Ken's buttons up close. So that tends to create a situation where you're going to get tagged low, right? So what can really help a lot in these situations, just block low, right? Just crouch block here. Because when you look at the spacing, I'm probably a little bit far for a throw, right? So it's pretty unlikely that, I mean, if I went for a throw here, you actually would have beaten it because you probably would have continued walking back, right? But since you're out of range of a throw, it could make sense here to just block, right? Because even if you take a throw, right, you take 1200 damage or whatever. But here, if you get tagged low against Ken, you're going to be put in the corner, right? So something to consider in these situations is to just block low, right? Block it out, wait for the offensive player to press buttons or do something. Because this is the first interaction, really, Oki-wise, right? It's first real knockdown after you get DP'd here. So you just want to be careful backing out of pressure, and a lot of people get hit in the situation, right? And I think I might do this to you a few more times over the set, so we'll keep an eye out for situations like that.
I get clicked low a lot, that's for sure.
Yeah, and a lot of it, again, it's just because like you're in a situation where you want to back up out of pressure, and maybe that's correct, right? Getting out of pressure is probably the correct thing to do. It's just that you're going to get tagged low if the spacing allows the other player to use their low forward, right? So. Okay, so you take that. I think you defend this pretty well. Go for a D-Rev here, so that's not a bad option. I think that's a good way to hedge, especially the first interaction. I tend to do a media that's me, Josie, I guess, but I think a lot of players in these ranks here will do some sort of meaty timing pressure, right? So makes sense to me. Get out of the corner, all right? Go for the knee crusher there. So this is good, I think, if you're recognizing that if I go for low forward here, this should profile it, right? So good stuff. Right,
what sucks about that button is like people DI it all the time where I'm at, or they I guess that's the main thing is DI.
Yeah, I think you'll see that it's weird, like in I don't want to call it weird, but in like Platinum, Diamond, these ranks, right? People will just DI neutral, right?
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily always a read. A lot of times people will use DI as kind of like a get off me tool, which will kind of work if you press buttons into it, right? So again, I mean, I think it's good recognition on your part to use that in this situation, because if I did go for low forward, it would profile it, right? So, so anyway, something to we'll keep look at how well that works out for you through the rest of the set. So what happened there? What happened? Look at that. Slide. Okay, cool. So it's a good slide, right? I know for Blanka especially, like, this is a good tool to use against fireballs and stuff. So as you caught me walking forward, so it's good. All right, so plus 29 here. You get a meaty setup. I think if you forward dash, you would be what, like plus 10 or whatever.
Something like that.
Something like that, right? So you go for that. Right.
I think I'd probably use that option too much.
I think it's a fine option. I think I don't know too much about Blanka's Oki pressure at mid screen, especially. I do know there are some buttons you can probably get a setup here again to get some plus frames, but I'd have to look it up, so I'm not sure. But knowing the knockdowns off a slide is probably there's probably I'm sure you can come up with some setups for that. I think the knee crusher is fine. I think as long as you time it meaty. I think so. If we look at the slide. Right, so you get the slide, there's the knockdown, you do the forward dash, okay, and then there's a little bit of gap here, right? So I'm assuming that the forward crusher is actually, 9-frame move? So my guess here is that if this was tighter, right, so if you had dash and then pressed timely, this probably ends up being 0 on block, would be my guess. So I'm not sure, I'm not a Blanka expert, but given that this is a 9-frame move, you're plus 10 here, it'd probably hit on like a slightly later active frame, like if you move this 2 frames back. So you may be 0 or even plus, but I'd have to look. I'm not 100% sure. But that just goes to like for the Oki setups and stuff. You can do a little lab work and figure out using frame meters and stuff how plus or what kind of advantage you're getting off of that.
Gotcha.
So me not knowing, right? I don't elect to press there, right? I just kind of wait and see, get a little space back, and then I press stand heavy punch, right? This is like Ken gameplay. All right, so we back up out of that. Okay. What was happening there? Did you press something? Oh, you pressed stand heavy punch, huh?
Looks. I think I tried to do crouching heavy punch.
Oh, crouching heavy punch. Okay. Okay.
That's probably too close for that.
Yeah. So something to keep in mind is spacing should generally dictate what kind of buttons you're pressing, especially when both players are in neutral state, right? So where we were at here, like Blanka's crouching heavy punch reaches like here or something, right? It goes pretty far.
Yeah, it's just 9 frames, so
yeah.
it's kind of hard to do when people are like super close and you're not at the tip.
Right. So I think if you had pressed a crouching medium punch here, you probably stuffed this. So if we take a look, so I'm gonna do this and let's take a look. I think you'll probably be able to get. Oops. Switch play control. Yeah. Right.
Okay, that's really good to know.
Yeah. So what would that be? Something like this. Something like that, right? So, again, it's really more of a spacing thing, right? So I don't know if it's necessarily like a whiff punish reaction, if you will, but the idea there is that when you're at this spacing, right, any button from Ken here will likely, like, other than stand heavy kick potentially, but Ken's like to use stand heavy punch or crouch and medium kick, right? So if you think here at this space they're gonna press a bigger button, you can potentially stuff it with a faster button, right? The space here kind of says that you could press crouching medium punch here, and it'll stuff anything I'm trying to do, right? So you talked about some of the footsies aspect, right, and how that works, and really what a lot of it boils down to is the space between the characters, right? And then potentially frame data, but that's kind of secondary, right? The reason I say it's secondary in this situation is because both players are in neutral, right? So there's no actual like advantage as such, right? So it's really just spacing dependent. The frame data comes into play when you get closer. The speed of your move will start to dictate what you can and can't do, right? And we see that example here because you go for a 9-frame move, which is actually faster than Ken's 10-frame right here. The issue is that you press it later than me, right? So my button's already coming out when you press here, right? So even if you had reacted in that same situation, at that speed, you probably would have gotten stuffed. But had you preempted and pressed your crouching medium punch because I'm getting too close, that probably would have gotten me, right? So we talk more about the footsies aspect once we get a few more examples. But this is kind of one situation where it's like, okay, they're at this spacing here. What button should I press, right? What button should I be using to kind of stop them from advancing any more forward, right? And so generally speaking, as the player's moving closer, you want to press something a little bit faster, right? Because if you go for that big button, it'll get stuffed. And that's kind of what happened here, right? You get counter hit out of your crouching heavy punch, right? I don't confirm it, so that's on me to clean up. And then I think here, again, you get tagged walking back, right? So, again, similar situation, right? You had just gotten hit. Like, screw this, I don't want any more pressure. Let me back up, right? So, it's the same deal, right? From here, though, I think, again, like if you had just blocked it out, probably would have been fine. I drive rush on block, and then I put you in a mix-up, but it's better than getting hit, right?
Yeah.
I take that back. Actually, you try to press crouching heavy punch again.
I tried it again, it looks like, yeah.
Okay. So, again, just be careful here, especially at this spacing now. That's definitely too close, right, I think. You did just get hit. And I'm at some advantage after that, right? Because I had just landed something, right? The stand heavy punch. So obviously this, even though I'm +8 here, the advantage kind of goes away a little bit as I walk forward. But you can see the spacing. This is even closer than the previous interaction, right? So crouching heavy punch may not work there. It may work if I'm backing up, right? Or if I'm being passive, right? And I don't want to continue walking forward. But I think you've seen that I'm not doing that, right? I'm walking forward when I have advantage, right? So,
how many frames is Ken's crouching medium kick?
this is 7 frames.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think you can stuff this with like a stand light kick. I think I forget on Blanka's moves you can do to stuff that, but it's tough in that scenario because I have a little bit of advantage and I'm moving forward and the spacing is a little tight, right? So it's hard to kind of stuff that. That's why I think blocking is typically okay here, to just block it out, because if I do this right and it's on block, you're still in a mix-up situation because I'll have plus frames, but it's better than getting tagged, right? Because now you're going to be in the corner, right? So. All right. Nice defense on the safe jump. Not pressing, it's good. All right, not pressing there. Cool. All right, good recognition. So I think that's a fine response there. I'm not Takedo, so I'm not doing the stand heavy punch confirm into Tatsu here. That is so cool. But yeah, if I'm burned out and applying pressure like this, I think a DI into someone's button is probably fine, right? So I go for a cancel here. It's kind of unsafe against DI, so this is good. Go for the Blanka-chan. A little bit of shenanigans here. I'm able to defend it until I get hit here, right? As I try to delay tech. So this sequence, it was really good on your part, right? So you're able to mix up left, right. I did defend the first half of it, but you're able to hop through and tag me with your stand light kick or stand medium kick, whatever. Oh, stand light kick, yeah. So good. So this was unfortunate, I think.
Yeah.
If you were a little bit late, or sorry, not late, but if you had did the command grab a little bit later, actually I think it would have got me. I wasn't ready for that. So, but yeah, no, that was a good sequence for me. I think that kills me if you had landed that right. So,
Yeah, it's one I try not to use more than once in like a set. It's a pretty effective one.
Yeah, it's one of the things where you have to do it once, right? Like if you don't do it once, it could have worked, but the idea there. So now, and this is really good, and I'll mention here, is like now that you did that, that's going to be in my head for the rest of the set, right? You can never do it again, and it is now taking up my mental space, right? It's free real estate in my head as the opponent, right? So good, yeah, that was good. And again, it would have worked if you were a little bit later on that. So, all good. All right, get swept off your feet. All right, so you're trying to press there, it looks like, right?
Yep.
So yeah, just let's see, yeah, crouching medium punch. Okay, so the reason I sweep here is because I'm trying to call out your back movement, right? So something that you've been doing as we've been playing is that in that situation, right after you block something, you've been tending to kind of move forward or back, right? So that's why I swept right there. So you're moving forward, and I think you're trying to press a button probably, but I sweep, right? Again, this is more of a me as the offensive player, or me as Juzzy, I guess, calling out your movement, right? So you end up getting swept there, right? Right. Go for some manually timed pressure. It doesn't work out, but you can see how much better it is if you block the crouching medium kick into drive rush, right? Instead of taking 2300 or whatever and put in the corner, or maybe a little more because you're already close, right? You just take a throw, right? And that's not a huge deal, right, over the course of things. So, all right. So you're taking you pressure here, right? What did you do there? How'd you get hit? Oh, you just weren't blocking? Okay, that's interesting. Were you trying to jump?
Well, I'm not sure. Maybe I accidentally did something. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, so I mean, typically when I see this happen, like as I'm doing this kind of pressure, a lot of times what's actually happening is they're trying to jump or back dash or some other movement here. It could be that was what was trying to happen. I don't know, but you end up getting hit, so not a huge deal. But
Well, I think I did try to backdash at one point.
yeah, that might have been it, right? Trying to.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So avoiding the throw, whatever. Take that again. Okay, D-Rev. So this is good. Something that I think I mentioned on the stream is I'm kind of surprised you're not really using as much OD up ball. But the thing is, you do it once and you kind of get beat for it. But since Blanka does have invincible reversal, if you're going to reversal, it's usually not a bad idea to consider using the OD up ball, right? Because when you do that, you get a little more space back than you would here, and you deal actual damage, right? So for the same meter, right? So if you're trying to call it a reversal, or if you are 100% committed to the reversal at that point, consider doing the OD every once in a while, right? D-Rev is good because you're hedging your bet a little bit because it's -6, right? So you get a 6-frame punish as opposed to a full punish. And I totally get that. But with Blanka, he has a good DP, so consider using it if you're gonna reversal, right?
Yeah, yeah. I struggle with that because like if someone can threaten an overhead, like I
Mm-hmm.
have a hard time getting the down charge.
Ah, I see. So you're just like,
So that's
okay,
why
I
I
get
use
a
drive
yeah.
Yeah, I can react to that. Kind
Yeah,
of
well, you could react to that, or the other thing I tell people is if you're gonna do a defensive option, just commit to it, right? So instead of trying to react to an overhead and doing something else, if you've already committed to the up ball, the DP is gonna beat the option anyway, right? So, like right here, right? Like you can commit to a defensive option here, right? So you see me not back up or anything. I'm still standing here, right? And at this point right here, you are trying to time the ODDP, right?
yeah, yeah. I would have enough charge right there.
Yeah, you should definitely have charge by then, right? So yeah, definitely. Again, and I get it though. Sometimes if you don't have charge, D-Rev is probably fine to do too. Like for whatever reason you didn't have charge here or something else happened, then you could probably do that as well. But if you can DP in this situation, like it's probably better to do that versus not, right? So
Gotcha.
okay, good jump. All right, good application, getting me down, walking me down, and then you get tagged. It looks like you're walking forward. Let's see. All right, so you hop, and you try to back up here. Okay. So I think you talked about if you're applying pressure, quote unquote, correctly, if you will, in mid screen and stuff like that. I think that
Well, actually, I was trying to shimmy here.
oh, you're trying to shimmy. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay. That's fine. Yeah. No, that's fair. Yeah. And then unfortunately, I wake up with crouch medium kicking a tags you, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's fine. If you're going for shimmy, you're reading delay tag, that's fine.
Yeah, because after lightning, I can get a strike throw shimmy mix up.
Okay, DI. I don't. Oh, were you trying to D-rev there, or?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. So I'll mention this too for wake up D-rev. If you just hold it, it should come out. You don't have to time it at all. So.
Yeah, it looks like I accidentally held back.
Yeah, you're holding the other direction, and that's what came out. So it's all right. I mean, the intention was there. It's all good. Yeah, I burn out for the pressure, and then I think this is minus, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So going for up ball or going for air ball there, I think is okay. I think in this situation though, it might make sense to do the OD version. I'm pretty sure that's safe on block, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should have done OD for sure.
Yeah. So OD version could help there because I think what you're calling out here when you do this right here is that I'm supposed to be pressing something potentially, or you're like with punishing me trying to continue moving forward. And if you had done the OD version, I think at the very least you'd been safe, right? Instead you'd kind of take the yeah. So overall though, I think like you're doing fine. Like I think you have a game plan, which is to kind of walk up, press those good buttons from Blanka, and try to get the drive rush. It's just that the spacing that we were playing at kind of favored Ken a little bit, right? And some of that's just my movement and my ability to kind of see where you're standing and press the right buttons. But I think you have the right idea in most cases. So let's take a look at the other replay here. Okay. Yeah, so you can see what's happening, right? Is that, and this is more the footsies aspect, if you will, is that the spacing where I'm trying to get you to stand, right, is typically outside of most of Blanka's better, faster buttons, right? Like his crouching medium punch and crouching medium kick, right? I'm kind of standing outside of that for the most part. So use the fireball there. And then even in this spacing here, I kind of block down here to make sure you don't slide on me or do any shenanigans, if you will.
Yep.
And then back up a little bit. and now we're playing at a space where I think it's uncomfortable for Blanka to try to press buttons, right? Like, I'm outside of range of your crouching medium punch, I think. I think crouching heavy punch might reach, but it's a little bit committal, right? And I want to say it's some level of minus. At least it's your turn's over if it's on block.
Yep.
And you'd have to do something like a hop. I could react to it, right? And a slide, I can't react to slide, but if I'm kind of walking and blocking low, you won't tag me with that, right? So I think that's why this is what is forcing the situation where you're like, okay, now I have to do some shenanigans to get in because I can't get through. And a lot of it just happens to be space, right? Space control here.
Yeah.
And the way around that really against like a Ken player and any player in general is kind of just walk forward, right? The idea here is that as you move, right? This is kind of like general footsies advice, if you will, or neutral game in general, but I think people like call it footsies in this case because you're not really using like slides and hops and Blanka balls or whatever, or Ken not using Dragon Lash. A lot of what goes into footsies is really being able to understand what the opponent wants to do when you walk into their space, right? So like when I walk into your space, I don't know if we'll see if I do it here. You tend to back up, right? Like as I walk up, you tend to kind of walk back a little bit out of range of the button, right? So and that was good right there, yeah. But
I really struggle with this. So like out closer than crouching medium punch range, his buttons are extremely stubby, and so I just have a hard time like choosing the button, I suppose, because a lot of times it just might not reach you and I might get punished for using stubby of a button.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing with Blanka is that the buttons are super committal, like the longer range ones, right? And then stuff like, you can't really use your heavies, right? Like stand heavy kick is really difficult to use as a whiff punish until, you get really comfortable in that doing it that way. And stand heavy punch, obviously you can't really use it as a whiff punish, right? It's really more of a combo tool from at least the way that I've seen it used.
Yeah, you're right.
So yeah, I think that's tough. And really, again, what it comes down to is your ability to walk forward without being afraid of getting hit, right? So we'll see a little bit more here and see if more of it comes up, but yeah. So right there, right, I think that was fine, right? A fine space to press that button, right? Because it reaches at the tip, it didn't whiff, right? Landed, right? Get the drive rush into a mix up, right? And then you go for hop, right? And then I tried to jab out, and it didn't quite work for me. But you can see that the space part, right, reacting to how opponents move to your movement is a big aspect of it, right? Like for example, if someone as you walk forward to them, they tend to back up. That means that you can walk forward a little bit further than you normally would because typically forward walk speeds are faster than back walk speeds. So you can walk forward a little bit more and try to tag them low as they're backing up, right? Alternatively, if you walk into someone's space and they press a button, right, to try to prevent you from coming into that space, then you can consider, okay, walking in and out of that space to try to get them to press the button, and then you whiff punish them with something else, right? That's, kind of one of the main, like a fundamental aspect of what people consider footsies, right? So, or like, let's say they don't press anything, right? They wait for you to get close, and they're just not committing to a button. At that point, you can just walk up and press a button, right? Because they're just going to stand there blocking. They don't want to get tagged low, potentially. You can walk and press a button, or you can try to throw them, right? But all of these things you have to kind of keep track of mentally as you're playing the game, right? So as you're kind of in that space, if you're trying to play this more grounded approach to the game, that's the thing you have to kind of pay attention to, right? Like, again, 90% of it is really just pressing the appropriate button at the correct spacing, right? The frame data aspect just kind of dictates what buttons are more appropriate as you get closer, right? Like, closer you are, the faster the button should probably be, right? Because you don't really need a long startup poke when you're up close, right? So,
yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Right, so here, okay, I think that's unfortunate. I think this should. All right, it's a good application of plus frames there. Get the counter hit, right? And that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Okay, so right here, what happened, right? So you try to flash parry. Okay. Flash parry in preparation for the low, right? I don't do it.
Yep.
And then I delay my crouching medium kick and it hits you, right? So I think if I was paying a little bit more attention, I probably could have walk up thrown. In this case, what's actually happening here is I noticed that you didn't do anything after the Jinrai, so I just assumed you were backing up actually, right? So I wasn't actually trying to punish counter your parry or anything like that. I just assumed, because you had been doing it earlier, right? Is that after you block a hit, I wait a tick, and then I press, right? So again, my assumption was that you'd back up, right? You just happen to flash parry, gets punish countered, so be it. But again, like the reason I pressed what I pressed, and this is something that I think you were interested in as part of like why the why behind how neutral ends up getting played, is because I'm making a read on your movement again, right? In this case, they back up when they block something, so I'm going to go for a low when I'm in the right space, hopefully tag them as they're backing up, right? Again, in this case, it's unfortunate. If you had held the parry a little bit longer, you would have blocked it, right? Or parried it. But you flash parry, trying to get a perfect parry on the, I'm assuming, anyway, trying to get a perfect parry on the Jinrai follow-up. Flash parry, goes in recovery, and you get punish countered, right? So,
Yeah.
all right, put you in the corner here. All right, good hop, right? Get out. I wasn't ready for that. All right, good pressure here, right? Going into the, I think this is safe on block, right? The that's plus, so I can't press.
Yep.
And then this is a safe cancel, right? So and it's safe, right? I can't do anything here. So
you could have jabbed out of that. That was technically fake, I think.
Oh really? Let me see.
I think so. I should have done unless I'm misremembering, but I think I should have done standing leg kick. Instead, I did standing medium kick.
Let's see. All right, so there's the back medium kick.
Should be +2 there. And I did an 8-frame move.
Okay. So I could have jabbed you here, huh?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
But it also could have frame trapped if it did the standing leg kick.
Yeah, if I had pressed, I'd have to press like right away. And I think it might have tagged me. I'm not sure. Well, we can look at it later, but I think the safe option there is, I think, crouching light punch, right? If you do crouching light punch into electricity, that's safe, if I'm not mistaken. But again, I don't play Blanka. But I think there's a safe, an airtight string out of that. So anyway.
Yeah, there is.
So you do this, and it works out, right? Like, I don't press because I'm not 100% sure, so I don't press, and, you're able to get there, that situation. So even though you're -3, I can't really jab you here, right? Try to take my turn back. So I do a jab, it whiffs, right? So something to consider here is that after the electricity, you're at a spacing where a jab would whiff, right? So it might be something worth considering, being ready to punish someone trying to take their turn back here.
Okay.
You could whiff punish me with some other button, right? Like another back medium kick maybe, or something else. I don't know. But you could have had a space trap here, I think, with the lightning, right? So, right. So I do this, right? The lightning puts you out of range, and the jab whiffs, right? So once I noticed that whiff jab, I was like, oh crap, I shouldn't be pressing that. But yeah, something to consider on your offense, right? You can lab something out, like have the dummy do a crouching light punch after that sequence, and see what you can come up with in terms of punish, right?
Okay.
Right. Good Blanka ball.
Oh, I did that way late.
Yeah, I think it would have came in hot if it was they got me in the wake up there, but yeah. So good corner pressure here. Very nice, very nice. A little bit of the anti-air stuff, I think I jump on you a little bit and I kind of get away with it, so I'll just mention it now. Just, always ready to anti-air. Won't mention it the rest of the stream because it's the advice that I give everybody, and it's like, okay, again, right?
Well, it's something I'm realizing is like Ken's standing heavy punch like stuffs my standing heavy kick anti-air, so I'm trying to train myself to do the back medium kick, but it's still...
Yeah, it's tough, right? I mean, you're trying to use an anti-air button there, but yeah. Okay, take the plus frames, take the throw, that's fine. Okay, I think you're trying to hop, right? Looks like you're trying to hop.
Yep.
Okay, and that does end up losing to meaty jab, right? So, unfortunate there. End up taking the DP. Okay, and then this is the time where I bait the D-rev, right? So, if you look at the interactions here, and this is something that happens a lot, I think typically most people will do some sort of reversal option after the third interaction they lose, right? So if we go backwards, right, so I think here, that might be too far. Well, let's see. All right, so going through this, right? Good Blanka ball, right? Good pressure here. Right, there's one. Okay, that's two. There's three. And then there's a reversal, right? So I usually it's the third. This time is the fourth. But, you know, a lot of times after you lose consecutive interactions, people tend to get reversal happy, right? So at that point, you could have done like a wake up low or something like that, or done nothing, and it would have beaten the shimmy here, right? Because you can see what I'm shimmying, right? Back it up here. So again, that's really more of a psychological thing. I don't know how true it ends up being over the course of things, but when you talk to folks, it usually ends up being something like that, right? So after you win a couple interactions and score a few knockdowns, be wary of the reversal, right? So, all right, let's see here. What happened there? Did you just hit by something? What happened? Okay, D-Rev. Block 0. Oh, you get tagged. What were you doing there?
I think I just wasn't blocking low, was I?
Yeah, trying to back up. So you parry and you're trying to walk out of pressure. Right. There's the parry. And you can see you're holding back still. Right?
Yeah.
You get tired of walking back, right? So again, I think standing your ground here after blocking things is probably the way to go. I think a lot of where I'm landing hits and beating you is after some sort of interaction that was blocked, you back up, right? And I think that, and I'm just taking advantage of that by doing a crouching medium kick, either immediately after or delayed a few frames, but trying to catch you walking back with that, right? And that's where I think a lot of these scenarios happen. All right, let me just cash out to win it. All right. Oop. All right, drive rush hop. I'm not ready for it. And trading, unfortunately for you, but fortunately for me. I think if I had jabbed there, it probably would have stuffed it, but I think I had already committed to doing a crouching medium kick, and it happened to turn me around there, so it worked out. But I think that's fine to do a couple of times a set, right? If the opponent's not ready for that, you know, you can mix them up with it. So, all right, move to full screen here. So at this point, I don't think you've really doing too many Blanka balls. But at this point, I'm trying to I'm establishing a full screen space here so I can throw fireballs to walk up, right? And I end up getting tagged on the slide anyway. So a good slide gets me there. And then a reversal, right? So something you'll see at higher level play is that the reversal timings will feel a little bit random, right? Like, oh, they haven't reversaled all game and they do it out of nowhere. What's really happening a lot of the time is the higher level player will be rotating the defensive option that they're taking when they wake up, right? So most of the time they'll block, and most of the time they'll do some low risk thing like blocking. Maybe they'll delay tech, right? Maybe they'll do some other delay option. But they will reversal every so often, right? It's just that if you do it at a lower frequency, you take less risk, and it kind of puts it in the opponent's mind that, oh, they could reversal any time, so I have to be careful with my pressure, right? So, and I think I reversal maybe twice, maybe 3 times over the course of the set, something like that, right? So it's not that I don't choose it, it's just that you're choosing it with less frequency, right? So. So yeah, that was that trade, right? But I think you still get a combo after this, right?
Yep.
Yeah, nice pickup. That's unfortunate. I think I go for an immediate tech there, and that's why it tags it. I love the Blanka shenanigans. I think it's correct to do, right? Right, catch me off guard, but I think I go for like an immediate tech once I saw the hop happening, and then it happened to get you, right? So
it just takes so much risk with them.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's just if you're gonna do that risky play, you have to be willing to live with the consequences. But I think again, it's worth doing every so often to keep me off guard, right? Or try to catch me off guard. Then here looks like maybe you're trying to jump. Let's see.
I think I was trying to catch. I thought you were gonna crouch medium kicks. I thought maybe I could jump back. And get you with a ball. Hey, that's usually what happens, but.
I see. So they can throw you and then go for like a drive rush low or something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
It probably still would have clipped me actually. So it's a decision.
Yeah, I think it would have been close. I think it might have clipped your pre-jump frames. Either way, you get tagged here. I do think up ball, air ball here is not a bad decision to make, but it is tough when the Ken is drive rushing at you, right? If I just walked up, maybe it makes sense to try to air ball, but the drive rush though, it makes this setup meaty, right? So, and then Ken gets the plus frames from the drive rush. So anyway, not a bad decision, but I think it just didn't work out for you there. You take full combo like that, right? Like right here. Unfortunately, I do a crouching heavy punch late, and it auto-corrected.
That's never happened in my life.
Yeah, I've never seen. I even if you look on stream, the body went like when that hit, because I could have followed up here, right? If I was ready, I could have DP'd or something, or level 1 or whatever, but I wasn't ready. Again, I think that's more spacing though. Let's see. So you back up, right? Get out of there.
I was actually trying to clip behind your head, but
yeah, but you can see that because I'm late on the crouching heavy punch.
Yeah,
I think that's why. Like if you look, yeah, right. Ken's already turned around, right? If I was a little bit late here, or sorry, a little bit early here, like I had actual reaction time, like I think I would have gotten clipped by that. But old man reaction saved me here. So, and then good derev there, right? You had been choosing an option a good amount, but I kind of assumed you wouldn't there. That said, the decision I made to try to walk up throw, it's because I have a lot of health here, a lot of meter. So even if I get reversaled or something like that, or even wake up supered, I should still be okay in terms of like, oh, I won't die from it, right? So you go for the crusher. So right there, that was good, right? Good stuff. Good throw. Plus frames. See right there, right? You saw. I mean, I don't know if you had just recognized that it was working, or if that was an adjustment to the frame trap or space trap, like the jab. But this is good, right? You can see how well that works, right? So I'm trying to delay jab here, right? To try to stop the. I'm trying to stop you from walking up and throwing me, basically, right? So I try to jab, and then the medium kick hits me, right? So, and then good throw. So this sequence was really good, I think, right? You were able to stop the defensive options that I was doing, and then you were able to mix me up effectively in the corner, right? So I think corner pressure is okay. I will say that I know that a lot of Blanka players will be using like dolls and stuff in that scenario. So worth considering, right? Because that Blanka-chan setups in the corner after throws and knockdowns is really strong, right? It's hard to stop that. So yeah. But unfortunately, I'm not the person to teach you that. So
I have to get like a wild lift or a no D ball to get it out for the most part. So then it wasn't.
So no.
Which I could have gotten actually off of one of those drive rushes.
Right. Especially after the double knees, I think, right? Could have gotten something like that. But again, I'm not an expert on applying Blanka pressure, just trying to defend it, right? But anyway, but yeah, something to add on to the layers there, if you will, is that the Blanka-chan is really strong, right? Okay, so here, when both players go into drive rush, press your fastest button, right? So you go for a crouching medium kick, and I go for a jab, right? For a 4-framer here. So if you see this situation, go for the lighter button and hope you win, right? That's really what it comes down to.
Can you correct your button after the fact, or is it just?
So when I press, let's see when I pressed it. All right, so there's the drive rushes out. And by this point, I think we both recognize that we're both drive rushing because there is a bit of a screen freeze, right? So if you look at this, right? There's screen freeze, right? If you were holding it, so the screen freeze, I think, if you press it and there's like a screen freeze that happens, it probably will eat that input. You can switch to like the jab, probably. You can check it out, I guess. Let's see.
I think you're right there. I just never actually.
Yeah, so we're both.
Can I struggle when two people drive rush at once?
Yeah, it's kind of a weird situation, right? Like I know this happens more often than not, but you're also like, oh crap, right?
Yeah.
So the counter hit there, good deal. And so I apply immediate pressure here by forcing to block, +2, and I walk up throw, right? So looks like you're trying to just block, which is fine.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna crouch medium kick.
Okay. Okay, so that's fine. All right, so Something I'll mention here, and this is a Ken specific thing, is that after a forward throw, right, and then a forward dash, Ken is actually only +1 here. So what this means is that
I can't shimmy.
Was that?
Can't shimmy.
Yeah, I can't shimmy, and throw is fake, right? So since I'm +1 here, if you mash jab, it'll beat the throw, right? So it's just something to consider is that in a +1 situation, the Ken player is guessing too, right? Because if you mash, right, if you mash here and I'm mashing, it's gonna beat you, right? You could delay tech here, and that should stop both the strike and throw. But if I try to go for a throw here, you can mash against that, right? So you have options in a +1 situation, right? +2 is a little tough, right? You can't mash anymore because the throw is now real, right? It'll beat your mash. But you could consider mashing as a defensive option in this scenario if I've been dashing up and throwing you, right? Because it's not a real setup.
Okay.
All right, so I'm applying pressure here, pushing a bunch of buttons. You get clipped because I think you're trying to walk back, right? Yeah, trying to walk back here, or you're just holding back, right? So you're in the corner already. Right, there's no really need to try to walk backwards, right? So.
Yeah, I'm not sure why. I don't know if it's like I also switched to leverless recently.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes I'm just like dropping.
Yeah. When I switched to leverless the first time, like for some reason my character just would not move, and a lot of times because I'm holding left and then trying to tap right or whatever, and like you get neutral and you're just not blocking. Yeah, so
it's just not as intuitive. So sometimes I'm just like dropping the input.
Gotcha. That's fine. I mean, that's an adjustment, learning curve and all that stuff. And then you get baited here, right? I'm applying much media pressure. Right, you get hit. And then I try to shimmy you here, and that baits the DP, right? And I drop the combo. And they burned out the corner here. And this is where it's tough, right? Now you're burned out in the corner, right? And you have to reversal at some point to get out of this. Unfortunately, it ends up being the last interaction, and I block, right? Yeah. Yeah, so...
Yeah, I do not like doing wake up super, but I was like, what else can I do? Otherwise I lose.
I know. And it's tough because you need to, right? You have to. There's no... You're going to die if you just continue blocking there, right? So you have to guess at some point. It's just that I think when you do make that guess, you do want it to not be the last interaction or second to last interaction, potentially, right? Like right when you're about to die is like the most obvious time to super, right? And then I go for a lower risk shimmy there, right? And it kind of blows you up. So again, after going through the replays, I really think that the main way I was beating you is because you're walking back as someone walks into your space, right? I think that's really the main thing that I was grabbing you with. Corner pressure wise, I think you're okay. You're able to apply kind of the the back medium kick pressure from Blanka, which is super strong, by the way, because that button is so good. So using that in and out of drive rush, using electricity to keep your block strings going, right, and space trapping with it was fine, right? You saw that one interaction you had me cornered. I couldn't get out of it, right? You killed me that round, so that was good. And then let's see what else you had also mentioned.
I think I pretty much get like the cover attack part of footsies, the footsies triangle, but the walk forward part of it, the walk forward and press buttons, that's something I kind of struggle with. If you had any like examples or like wisdom to share.
Yeah.
So let me... space, because I know I back up a lot because I want that crouching medium punch range, but I also don't know what I know I need to walk forward more to throw you off, but I just don't really know what to press or like how to.
Yeah. So let me think about how we can set something like that up. Create a custom room. Try some training, I think. Alright. And then it's probably gonna be easier to deal with. Alright. Alright, so the part you were talking about, I'll use Ken here just because it's less more familiar to me, but typically like when we talk about the footsies triangle or whatever that everyone talks about, right? You talked about, you understand cover attack, right? So basically, as Ryu walks up to me, or we'll have the Ryu stand there, but as I walk up to the Ryu, he's gonna press something like this to stop me from coming in, right? So that's cover, right? But this is a response to someone walking up and pressing a button, right? So typically, when you consider like how do you walk up and press a button, you just walk up into the range and you press it, right? The trick though is that you need to be at kind of the tip of that range, right? So like that's a little too far, still too far, but like right here is probably gonna hit, right? Something like that, right?
Yeah.
And the reason why the cover attack works is because as they're walking up and pressing their longer range button, you as the opponent are pressing a faster button to try to stuff it, right? So most characters, when they press their longer range button, they have a hurt box that extends, right? So if you look at Ken here, I don't have the mod to show hurt boxes or whatever, but if you look at his model, right, most characters will kind of have some sort of part of their body that goes forward, right? If you look at the like Ken's lats, right, in his right hip, it moves forward, right? So when Ryu does his crouching medium punch to try to stop it, that's what his hurt box is interacting with, right? Typically, also recover attacks, you'll be seeing buttons that have like good disjoints, right? So like Ken's crouching medium punch here, like the actual tip of his fist, like is the hurt box, right? And it sticks out a little bit more than the actual hurt box, right? So that means it's a bit of a disjoint, right?
Okay.
So in order for you to successfully do this part, right? You have to walk into range. You have to walk into the correct range and press the button, right? Also, the opponent has to not necessarily be ready for it, right? So if your opponent is doing this a lot as you try to walk into range, the response from you is to try to whiff punish it, right? So that's when you see this stuff where like you walk forward, then you walk back out of the range, right? They press their button and then you tag them low, right? Or tag them with your whiff punish button, whatever that happens to be. Maybe you whiff punish with this, right? Maybe you whiff punish with this, whatever. But the idea is that you try to bait them into pressing the button. They press it and then they get whiff punished, right? So the reason I bring that up this way is because in order for this to be effective, the opponent has to kind of be scared of pressing buttons. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So like if you have consistently whiff punished me or are consistently whiff punishing me as I try to stop you from walking into my range, what's going to happen is either I keep doing what I'm doing and die, right? Because I keep getting hit. Or I make the adjustment to not press, right? Assume you're going to walk in and out of range, and then maybe I try to walk forward and press. Or I just wait, right? And that passiveness is what makes this work, right? This passiveness of like, oh, I don't want to press a button as they walk into my space. That's what allows this to work, right? Okay. So you have to kind of establish that in neutral, playing that grounded game. You have to kind of establish it, right? Because most people will, by default, will just kind of walk in and out and try to clip you as you're walking in and out of range, right? And like it makes it really difficult to walk up and press because they're always walking up and pressing as well, right? Yeah. And I think again another thing is that the overall space does kind of dictate what button you can press, right? So like for Ken, for example, like his longest ranging move is like 12 frames, right? So I can't really press this up close because Ryu can just press literally anything at that point and stuff me, right? And beat the button, right? So that kind of dictates that I have to be at this range to press it, right? Now, if I'm up here, right, I can press something like a crouching medium punch, right? Or even stand light kick, right? To try to stuff whatever Ryu's doing. Or even as an approach, right? I can walk up, press that because it's fairly quick. But again, to answer your original question of like, how do I walk into someone's range to press the button? The answer is you have to try to make them afraid of pressing buttons in the first place, right? And the idea behind that is to be able to try to whiff punish, right? So a lot of times what that ends up meaning is that you do have to kind of have an idea of how much space the character that you're playing, again, like your opponent's character, where they want to be standing for their buttons that they're using. But for the most part, if you're standing outside of that range, for most characters, it's kind of be like around here, I think. So this is obviously this round start neutral, like 3/4 screen or whatever. Typically around here, right? Somewhere in this range is going to be outside of most characters' longest reaching normals. So if I'm standing here, right, and I do my stand light heavy kick, I think it'll actually reach tip here, right? Yeah, so it misses. It's very close, but it misses, right? So something in that range, you want to try to establish you standing at. Again, this is more of like a general idea. For Blanka, I think it might be a little different because you have access to things like hop and Blanka ball. But if you're trying to play a little more grounded, that's kind of where the spacing you want to stand at typically ends up being. Now, you have to lab this a little bit to see where, for your character, you kind of want to be standing. I think for Blanka, standing in like the crouching medium punch range is probably more correct And the reason for that is because it's faster than most heavies, right? And it'll beat most heavies if people try to walk into your crouching medium punch range and press their heavy, you'll be able to stuff it with your crouching medium punch, right? That's the cover attack. Or you cover with this, right, into drive rush or whatever else you want to do there. So yeah, I think hopefully that answers your question. I know it's a little tough it's a long-winded answer for such a simple concept. But that's what ends up happening. And that's how I'm able to do that to you, right? Like I was walking up and pressing a button because you were afraid to press the button, or you didn't want to press the button because you didn't be getting either whiff punished or stuffed, right? So,
yeah.
Right.
Yeah. The thing I struggle with on Blanka a lot is just crouching medium punches. So like heavy in his gameplay. It's sometimes hard to pick other things that might be a little bit faster.
Yeah. Let's take a look here.
But there are certainly answers. Like I think standing medium kick is probably a pretty good button to start pressing.
Yeah, something like this, right? It's 8 frames. It'll stuff most heavies, I think. And the range is pretty good. I think it's cancelled too, right?
Light punch. Yep. Yeah. It's a good button.
Yeah, this one's good too, right? Right.
Yep.
I think this ends up being your check. Let's see. Yeah, like this, right? So like if you're standing like this range, like the reason this button is so good too is because like the hurt box kind of moves upward a little bit. Right, so anyway, standing at this range, right, and trying to whiff punish with crouching medium punch is probably the right way to go. And then once that happens, then you can start doing stuff like, not that, this, right, like walk up that or right, stuff like that, right?
Plus,
yeah, because at that point, like even though the range on this is actually pretty good, right, for what it is, for what it does, right, because it's plus on block and all that, but it's hard to get in range to do it, right? Like if I'm walking up like this, Ryu's gonna hit me with like a crouching medium punch or something, right? But if he's afraid to press buttons because I've been consistently doing this, right, or whatever it is, then right, it becomes a little easier to just to walk up and do that now, right? So that's how you build that into the game plan, right? That's how you open that avenue up for yourself, right? Okay. And again, I'll say that a lot of that also is very dependent on your opponent playing that footsies game with you, right? Like you can't play footsies against a Ryu that is constantly jumping at you, right? Right? Like, yeah, if a Ryu is playing Kenya Ryu or literally any other character, right? Honda's always headbutting, Blanka's Blanka balling, right? Ken's dragon lashing, right? If the opponent is doing that, then there's none of this activity happening, right? Instead, you're focused on checking and stopping those things from happening, right? So like this whole neutral aspect and footsies aspect doesn't work until they stop doing the neutral skip stuff, right?
Yeah.
So and I think even in diamond, high platinum, low diamond, even in mid diamond, I think there's still a lot of that. Even in master, to be honest, there's a lot of this still happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, what you have to, in order for you to get to that whole concept of us stopping you from pressing buttons and all that stuff, you have to be able to stop someone just doing this, right? Like, because you'll die, right? If you can't stop this, you'll die, right? So once you can stop that and force the opponent to play that neutral game, not neutral game, but the grounded footsies game, if you will, that's when that stuff I was talking about starts to come into play. But until that point, I think it's more important to just know the neutral skip tools that people have and be able to stop it, right? Like be able to check drive rush, right? Be able to check Blanka balls, random balls, that type of thing, right? Because you saw what happened when we were playing. Once I was able to kind of demonstrate that I could DP the rainbow ball, that I could stop the Blanka ball, right? So that some of these slides and hops are getting checked. You kind of had to change your game plan to kind of do this more, right? And then from there, I was able to win because I play in that space a little bit more, right? So, that's what comes out of that, right? Is you have to stop that stuff first, and then you can develop, and then you can play footsies with your opponent, right? And do the mind game layer that comes with that. But yeah. Cool. So any other questions you want to go over or topics you want to cover? You thinking about?
Nope, nothing off the top of my head.
Cool. You got time for the first of 3? We can run it back.
Oh yeah.
All right, cool. I think I'm in. I'll leave the mics hot for this one, so you can talk through it. But again, I think the main adjustment I think you want to try to make is that if you block something, block a little bit, block low for just a little bit longer, right? So if you still want to back up, that's totally fine. But just continue blocking for a little bit more, right? Stand your ground a little bit there. Also be willing to, if the spacing allows it, be willing to press a button as I walk into your space, right? Like a jab or something to stop me from walking forward, right? So,
Okay.
yeah. I think those adjustments will go a long way in the neutral.
Oh god, I gotta stop sharing the screen.
Nice. 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 Oh. Nice. Nice. Oh, that kills me otherwise, huh? Darn. But that was good though, right? You saw how way more effective it is to just kind of stand and block versus trying to back up. Like I can't tag you anymore, right?
Oh shit,
Oh,
that was messed up. Should have waited to punish.
Nice. Oh, very nice. Oh, I thought that wasn't gonna kill, dude.
I mean, it's a pretty cool combo.
I love the Dragon Lash loops. That was close. That was close. Nice. Optimal.
I thought this, yeah.
No, that throw loop is so hard to deal with, man. Like, oh, nice. Oh, that's tough. That's tough with no meter, burned out. Like, that's tough. But I will say that the neutral game aspect is a lot better.
Yeah, I think it's something I'll have to feel out for sure, but
Yeah.
it does feel like it need a little bit of improvement here in just a few minutes.
Nice. Ooh. Nice. Oh. Oh, went for the command grab.
Yeah.
I think it would have worked if I didn't fireball that. It would have worked for sure. I was not ready for that at all. Oh, oh,
That's a little bit of doubts on my part.
oh, oh. That was nice. Yeah. So, I will say that the neutral aspect that we've been talking about, that was way better overall in terms of how the game flow went. I know the result is still, maybe didn't go the way you wanted it, but if you look at this replays right later on, you can see and compare it to when we first started playing. You can see how much different the neutral interactions are overall. Like in this case where I was beating you more, wasn't necessarily in neutral. Like I did kind of win more neutral interactions, which it is what it is. But some of it was just because I had to do more setups and play a little bit more risky, right? I did if you had to do a few more dragon lashes and some other approach tools, right? But you can see how standing your ground a little bit and not backing up right away prevented me from tagging you for free with a low forward, right? So
That definitely felt a lot better.
yeah, right. And I think the spacing stuff, I think you were as the set went on, I think you got way more comfortable in the spacing you wanted to play at. But yeah, the immediate effect of like blocking more after getting, after blocking something, continuing to block, huge difference, I think, right? Huge difference. So
Yeah.
cool, man. So any other questions before we wrap up?
No, that's it. I really appreciate you doing
Cool,
this.
man.
Helps out
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah. Cool, man. So I'll just do the outro here. Feel free to hang out if you want. Otherwise, this has been Sit Down and Shut Up. So thanks for watching, guys. If you like this content, there are links to the Fight Rise Discord below. So Fight Rise is a fighting game community that mostly plays Street Fighter. They do bi-weekly tournaments, although again they're on break because it's the holidays. They also do community events showcasing folks from the community with their Urge to Fight series. They recently did one with their Base Brawl All-Stars setup that they had. I call it Base Brawl All-Stars. I don't know if that's really what they call it. I don't remember. But it was a cool format to watch. It had Ultra David commenting. It was a charity event they did for the end of the year, and they raised money for a foundation for a rare genetic disease. So that was pretty cool. So if this was interesting to you and you'd like a session like this, join the Discord, take a look at the training section. There'll be a thread you can sign up there. I'm also part of the Newbie Fight Club, so they run lobby nights Monday, Wednesday, Friday. They also do tournament, bracket type events every so often. So again, their information is also below. So free to join those communities if you want games with me or if you want to hang out and meet some other folks who are playing Street Fighter. So thanks everyone for tuning in. Appreciate it, and have a good day. Yeah, likewise. Happy holiday.